Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Deep Understanding of Research Papers. Today in this tutorial we are going to explain a new paper called Keyword Transformer, a self-attention model for keyword spotting. This is a new paper which was published in Archive recently, and I think this paper is under review in InterSpeech 2021. The authors of these papers are Axel Berg, Mark O'Connor, Miguel Triem Cruz. This paper is a collaboration between ARM Labs and Lund University from Sweden. So the tutorial is going to first cover the introduction of this paper, then we will explain what is keyword transformer in detail, then we will see the experiments and results, and at the end I am going to show you the implementation of this paper in my which I have recently published in my Git repo, and I'll explain the code in detail. You can clone the repo and try it yourself. So what is keyword transformer? So the idea of this keyword transformer basically comes from a recent paper from computer vision community. The paper is very well known as vision transformer, also known as VIT, and if you search vision transformer in Google, you will get multiple results regarding how transformers can be used in computer vision applications, for example image classification. So this paper adopts this idea of vision transformer and uses it for keyword spotting. What is keyword spotting? So there are different ways you can understand keyword spotting. So one simple thing is when you call or when you say okay Google to your phone, or for example if you are using iPhone you can say Siri, right? So these are wake word recognition or keyword spotting applications. In this paper there is no streaming version of keyword spotting. This is basically, you can think of this keyword spotting in this paper as some sort of a classification problem where you have given some audio files and the audio files will have some class, and it's a very simple classification problem, just like image classification in CFAR or MNIST, right? So but the holy grail or the grand idea of keyword spotting is different, and the applications, as there's many applications which you use in real life, for example okay Google or Alexa or this Siri. So these are wake word recognition or keyword spotting systems, but we are not going to cover those type of systems there. We are just going to see a keyword spotting in the classification sense, or some sort of a audio classification sense. So, what is the idea of this keyword transformer in this paper? The paper basically uses this transformer architecture similar to the ones which is used in vision transformers for keyword spotting, and the whole model is basically a completely end-to-end self-attentional architecture. If you go back and see, okay, you can say, okay, transformers introduced back in 2017 or 18, and obviously somebody must have tried transformer architecture for keyword spotting, right? So there are many papers which have tried keywords, they have tried transformers for keyword spotting, and there are various uh, applications in which these transformers are also used in speech, for almost all the speech applications like language aid, speech recognition, and so on. And this one is little different. As I said, this is basically fully self-attentional architecture, and and it is also not as similar to another transformers which people use in speech, for example conformer or normal transformers, which basically takes sequence of feature frames and then do some sort of classification or some other things, right? So this is a little bit different. We are going to understand how that is, and so that is the idea of this paper, keyword transformer. And we are going to see that this paper or this model outperforms a lot of previously published models, which were basically a combination of convolution and recurrent architectures, and even with attention layers. Because many people know that the speech is not discrete, and also it is not as easy as NLP applications. Like you can imagine, most of the NLP applications are dominated by these transformer architectures. But in speech, it is a little bit difficult because the audio itself, when you convert it into spectrogram or MFCC features, you have to do a lot of uh, pre-processing or some sort of feature extraction on top of spectrogram, and then once you get high level representations, then it's good to go for transformers. So it is a little bit complicated, so that's why many people have proposed convolutions and recurrent, because recurrent is also one of the important thing in speech, because it's a dynamically changing uh, signal, and attention is also important. So there are many papers which propose combination of all these things, and this paper shows that they perform better than these previously proposed approaches, and they obtain state of the art accuracy on Google speech command dataset. There is two versions of this dataset, and they get 98% accuracy on V1. V1 is basically a 12 class classifier or 12 class um, classification dataset, and there is a V2 version which is a 35, which has 35 labels or 35 classes, and they obtain these numbers on the data on those data sets, and this is the state of that. And we are going to see the implementation, and unfortunately with my implementation we couldn't achieve this accuracy. We got close to 96%, which is, I think, okay, because there are things which you may not be able to replicate exactly the same number because of some parameter changes and so on. But anyway, we get almost close accuracy, and the implementation I'm going to show you at the end of this tutorial. So coming to the main proposed approach, the keyword transformer actually looks like this. As you can see, this part of the picture basically explains what's happening in this keyword transformer. Let's look at it. So basically, you have the audio file or raw waveform, and this raw waveform basically is some sort of a signal which represent a class. For example, somebody must have said, let's say, a fan, which is a keyword, or up or down and so on. These are small short signals, around 1 second or 1.5 second audio signals, and what you do is you take this raw audio, then extract feature representation of this audio. So the feature representations could be many things. So you can try MFCC, you can try spectrogram, or you can try this MEL spectrogram, and there are enormous number of different variations of features you can extract using for this audio, and you can try all those, right? So in this case they use 40 dimensional MEL spectrogram for every frame, and every frame could be 20 millisecond window with 10 millisecond shift, and that way you can think of this matrix as a 2D matrix, right? So you have this 2D matrix which represents the spectrogram of this audio, and essentially in many speech applications, almost all speech applications, this is what you are going to use it as input to any feature extractor or any classifier, right? So I mean, there are places or there are cases where people directly use this raw audio as it is, and the model, the algorithm, or the neural network is going to figure out what type of features to be extracted for this audio. But that is a different case, which are called raw waveform processing networks. But in this case they are using spectrogram, and the spectrogram will go as input to the model. So how is it going to happen? So you have this matrix, right? So if you go back and if you go and read the vision transformer paper, so basically what they do is they take an image and split this image into pieces, right? For example, if your image is 8 cross 8, let's say you create 2 cross 2 boxes, and you get 16 pieces, right? 16 segments or 16 patches, let's call them as patches, right? And these patches are going to be projected using linear layer, and then you can just linearize this sub matrices into vectors, right? And these vectors are going to be used as input to a transformer architecture, and everything after this is similar to any transformer architecture or any transformer or conformer neural network, right? So because you just have to use attention, self-attention layers, and then this is the thing which when I'm talking about transformer inside, what is happening inside transformer is what is happening. You have multi-head self-attention layer, then you have layer normalization, and then you have feed forward, and then again layer normalization, right? So this is simple single one layer transformer encoder, right? And you can have a number of them, and you can just stack them on top of each other and keep them 10 or 20 or 30 layers of these, and then everything is after that is similar to any transformer architecture, right? And there are a couple of things to see here. So one thing is you need positional embeddings, obviously, because you need to know the positions of the patches, right? So that's important because it's also one of the important information, because you can't understand an image if you randomize these patches, right? It doesn't look like an image, right? So you need this. And they also use a class embedding token, which is used for classification at the end. We'll see why this is used. And these two are added into the original uh, vectors, which are our original patches, and then everything else is normal. After that, it's encoder layer. So after you, let's say, use 10 layers of transformer, so after the output, so you get vectors, right? If you have 100 patches, you get 100 vectors here, and the first one is basically represents the class embedding, and you can take that and give it to some linear head. After that, you can feed it to some classifier, right? So a simple vector, right? And the classification could be 10 class classification or 35 class classification, depending on which data set you are using, right? So simple, right? So so you take the matrix, then cut it into pieces, then these patches are, let's call them as patches, right? So I'm going to show you like what's the dimension of these patches and so on in the end. Let's say you use 2 comma 20, right? So the patch size is 2 comma 20. So basically what it says is you take every two frames, and then you take 20 20 20 so let's call them scalars from the y-axis, and take 2 in the x-axis, and this is going to be one patch. And like that you go on and then cut it into patches for this entire spectrogram, right? And then you, as simple as that, like once you get these patches, you just put them in the row, and then you know the locations of these patches, and then use them as embeddings or position embeddings, and then append the the class embedding vector, and then give it to the transformer, right? So as simple as that. And there are two variations in the transformer layers they are using. So one is having called post norm, and another one as something called pre norm. So the difference is very simple, as you can see in this picture. So post norm basically is a, you apply linear normalization, or not linear normalization, layer normalization after self attention, right? And in case of post pre norm, you apply layer normalization before and then apply the self attention, right? Those two are the difference between the pre norm and post norm. So I hope you guys understood the idea of this paper, the keyword transformer. Very interesting. I mean, even though it's an idea from computer vision community, it's very good that it works even in speech. In fact, even I have been trying the same architecture on a couple of other problems as well, but not getting great results so far. But I think for speech command classification or Google speech command classification, it works really well. So coming to the experiments, as I said, they are using two data sets from Google Speech Commands version 1 and version 2. So the data set is basically 1 second long audio snippets, which has 16 kilohertz sampling rate, and then these are spoken short keywords in different environments, and in case of V1 they have 65,000 of 1000 snippets in 30 different words, but they are going to use only 12 classes. And in V2 they have almost 100,000 snippets with 35 classes, and they are going to use all the classes. So the 12 label classification for V1, out of which 10 are word and other 2 are like silence and unknown. And in case of 35, all the available words are used for the classification. So coming to the experiments, as you can see, there are some architecture insights here. So there are three different architectures. KWT1 uses hidden dimension 64. I'm going to show you the where these numbers are added in the code and so on. You can just take a look. And the heads one is basically the number of. So in case of multi-layer or multi-head self-attention, you need to have multiple heads. If it is a single head, it's a simple attention layer, right? And how many layers you want, you can specify. They are using 12 in all the cases, and these are number of parameters and so on. In case of training, for the training, they are using uh, these hyperparameters. So train, batch size, optimizer, learning rate, and so on. These numbers can be, these things can be incorporated into the code and see. And level smoothing is added as a regularizer along with weight decay, and also dropout is used, not used because it's 0. And time window length, time window state, these are for audio speech extraction. And DCT features, they're using 40, and augmentation they are using spec augment, right? So this is a standard training procedure. Coming to the results, as you can see, they are compared with multiple previous approaches, and there are results for V1, V2, and even with V2, 12 class classifier and 32, 35 class classifier, and those are the numbers. And MH attention RNN basically is a implementation from another paper which uses recurrent neural network on top of recurrent neural network, and then on top of it they add self attention, right? And they obtain uh, previous state of the art, which is 97.2. And then so in this table, as you can see, there are two big rows here. So the this one directly uses the classifier, as I showed you, as I showed you previously, the architectures for KWT 1, 2, and 3. And this one basically represents some sort of a teacher student learning framework. So basically they use this architecture as a teacher, and they use the labels, soft labels from this output from this architecture as inputs to compute the loss of this keyword transformer. So it's a simple student teacher learning framework. And they obtain, once they do that, they get good accuracy compared to the previous previous models. And that is one result. Second result is, with patch size, what is the accuracy. So basically when I say patch size, you have the spectrogram, right? So this the spectrogram for an audio, when they say so that I forgot to mention, the maximum duration or maximum number of frames is 98, right? And the dimension here is 40, the feature dimension. So you can split this big matrix into patches in different ways, right, with the different patch sizes. So if I mention, for example, 20 comma 2, so in frequency axis I am taking 20, and on the y-axis I am taking 2, right? So this way you get so many patches, right? So this is one thing. And second thing, if I say 5 2, then you take 5 for every 5, and then every 8, right? So as simple as that. So I'm going to show you like where you can mention these parameters in the code. And as you can see, for 40 comma 1, if you use single frames, right, simple frame by frame, you get better accuracy. And yeah, that's all for this tutorial. Now I'm going to go back and show you the code, right? So this is the this is the code base. And I so I'm going to show you the code. So the repo, forgot to mention in the slides, you can go to this repo, Krishna DN keyword transformer repo, and then you can get all the codes. You can clone it and use it for your application, right? Let's understand this code. So this is the repo which I have already cloned into my local laptop. And so first thing you have to do is you have to take the data set and process it. And I am currently using only one data set, the v1 data set. You can just download it. They are going to give you the validation list and testing list. Remaining everything you can use it as the training. And this is a simple data processing script. And then you have to use this sh file to extract the features from Kaldi, right? So when you this is a simple script you can use. If you have already installed Kaldi, then I don't have to worry anything, because it's just going to take the you can just use the script steps and utils, and it's going to use those. And we're also going to do perturbation, which is not, I think it's not mentioned in the paper. You can also perturb the data using speed perturbation, and then you can augment the data that way, right? And extract the features, 40 dimensional features, and then you have to format it. And once you format it you are going to get these files, which are called manifest files, which are basically some npy files, which will have the features and the labels, right? So that is for the data processing. Once you do the data processing, then you can once you do the data processing, you get these three files. You can jump ahead and start the training, and you have to come to this trainer. So the trainer basically does all the training, and you just have to specify the paths, which is standard paths which I showed you here. And then number of classes is 12, and then batch size, training batch size, dev batch size, and so on, right? So most important thing, I'm going to show you the model. So the model basically it's called a transformer here, and this is actually a code taken from Lucid Rain's Git repo. The code is I have taken the code as it is, but I had to change couple of things because his code works only when you have square images, or when you have images which are 256 or 128 kind of square images. But in speech it doesn't happen most of the time, because your number of frames can be different and the feature dimension can be different, so you have to adopt this code. So I just modified the code so that it works in speech situation. And so what happens is, like I mentioned before, you have uh, position embedding, and then you have class embedding, and the transformer is the transformer is here. So the transformer uses prenorm, then attention, feed forward. So this is one layer. So first use prenorm could be a layer normalization, then use a self attention layer or multi-head self attention layer, then use feed forward layer. Or after prenorm, this is one layer, and you can have how many other layers you want. If you want 12 layers, you can use 12 layers, right? And how do you call the model? You just have to mention the image size. In our case it is 98 40. 98 is being the 98 is the number of frames, and 40 is the feature dimension. And patch size can be anything. In this case I'm mentioning 2 5. Number of classics is 12, and dimension is 64, 128, whatever is mentioned in the paper. Then depth can be 12. In just for example I'm showing 6, but actually for the training I have used 12. Heads can be 1, 2 or 3, which is mentioned in the paper. MLP head is again 128 or 256, and that's all. So you can just call this function and everything will work fine. So in the trainer also I'm doing the same thing as you can see here. So for one setup I'm using 220 patch size, and this is I think KWT 1 or I think 2 probably. So this model, and I am using for data loader, I'm using a code called speech. So if you go here, data loader, this uses, so also you can use spec augmentation here, or you can add something called spec substitute also. These are something new which I have added. And this speech generator basically generates the data for, or creates the batches for training iterations. And so for the training, in the trainer you can see I have training loop here, which computes the cross entropy loss along with label smoothing loss, and you can add both of them. In this case I'm just mentioning is 0.0, but you can add both of them. And this is for the FP16 training, don't worry about that. And this is the testing loop. This is the model then you have the generators, the data loaders. Then optimizer is a simple Adam optimizer with learning rate 0.001. Then you have, I am using a scheduler to in the case in the paper they mention cosine annealing rate, cosine annealing uh, learning rate scheduler, but in this case I'm just using a reduce LR on plateau function. And you can call this scheduler for every steps, every uh, training, every epoch, and then control it with your testing accuracy and save the models. And also I have probably I not sure, I think I have not pushed the testing code, but if you can use the testing code also to test the accuracy on the testing data set. I'm getting about, as I said, 96% accuracy for this data, and I think that is a little bit close. I think we should, if I do modification, I may be able to replicate or get the exact numbers. So yeah, that's all for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more of these kind of tutorials. Thank you.